Ladies and gentlemen, the stock market took a turn for the worse. They lost 2,000 points. Ooh, they got their behinds kicked today. I got some audio that I want you to listen to.
Over the years, we've seen, way back when we've triggered these before, and the markets continue to operate. It's a long term market for investors.
I think the cash is king. I don't think that they should feel like, wow, this is a great opportunity yet. I do feel that a lot of people who are on fixed income are going to struggle right here and think, well, what do we do? And that's why I'm so hung up on the idea of let's build that portfolio that will have no problem with the yield. And there, what you want to do is you want to look at the balance sheet. And if you can't look at that balance sheet, maybe you have to just stay in cash. You have to have some ability to be able to judge whether the company can pay that dividend. But I do think that caution is still recommended. And I do think that the longer that the Treasury Secretary doesn't come out, is the longer that the limits are going to be in play and we're going to hit that magic level.
What we're going through now is the great liquidity shock that we had been warning about as one of the fallouts from the global financial crisis. So not only have you had the stress in the credit and the funding markets and having that spill over into the S&P, you have the uncertainty now brought on by oil prices. So it's a question now of what gives. At what point do people feel like the prices are so low that they need to come back to the table? What pressure can the other 20 countries actually put on Russia, not just Saudi Arabia? But I think the liquidity moves that we've seen have been unprecedented, and it is a reflection of how the market has changed and how the market structure has changed. We just don't have those circuit breakers and shock absorbers anymore.
What do you mean?
So it used to be that you had banks holding some of the inventory for this. Now you really had to have the Fed step in. You have the rise of algorithmic trading, electronic trading, record inflows because of passive. We thought there would be a testing moment, but who thought it would be on coronavirus or on what we're seeing in the oil market?
Although we knew it would probably be something.
Yes, we knew it would be something. And, the problem is coronavirus, for those quarantines to work, it's taken 8 weeks. Now we're seeing that China is peaking, but that was an 8-week process. And we have a number of countries that are really just coming into this right now.
First of all, you can't look at the price action and make a decision. You really have to break it down into two issues. One is, what is the damage that this is doing to S&P profits, not for the week, but let's say over the course of the year? We started the year, our estimate was that we're going to have 6% EPS growth for the S&P. We think that that's going to be about a zero, but that's nowhere near what you would get in a typical recession, but a lot of damage. And the assumption there is that this plays out when you get towards year end and gets under control. So the damage in terms of profits is a first half issue, and in the back
half. How do you know that? That's not what the market is telling you right now.
You can't look at, and Joyce and I were talking about the liquidity issue. You can't look at it at an illiquid market that's doing what it's doing as a signal, and we don't know. But if you listen to the experts, if you look at what past recessions have meant for earnings, that's probably about as good a guess in a changing world as you can make.
You have to look at as to what are going to be the enduring effects of this. Whether we end up crossing this dividing line and end up getting a vicious cycle or not, what are the enduring effects of this? I think that deglobalization is just going to be the really big theme of this decade. So you want to sort of be in economies and in markets which are just not going to be that dependent on the rest of the world. And so in that regard, the cheaper places, and we have a new oil order, I think that is going to last for a while in terms of the fact that the price of oil just keeps, sort of settling at lower and lower levels. And so you want to be more with the oil importing countries. You want to be in countries with large domestic markets and beneficiaries of deglobalization. Those are the enduring effects. What we have to get through over the next 2 or 3 weeks now is hoping that that analysis which just pointed to is correct, that this followed the China template and it peaks in the next week or so. Because if it goes on for 3-4 weeks, then my fear about the vicious feedback loop developing with the global bond market and also the fact that the stock market crosses the line of 20%, I think you end up getting something which is much more sinister than what's being priced in today.
So I think right now, the greatest possibility for recovery is coordinated action by the G7. Low-lying fruit are things like swap lines. They could also coordinate easing, or they could coordinate to fiscal stimulus. So I think that's what the market's hoping for. Otherwise, you are going to see U.S. become Japan. And I don't think anyone wants that to be the case.
I know there's been a shock to the markets, but right now the bond market is relatively stable. Government bond yields are stable at lower levels, and credit spreads are stable at much wider levels. frankly, we're all waiting for a policy response. We want to see if the Fed or the ECB come in, whether they say something, indicate some sort of policy, and we want to hear out of Washington and Brussels. So we're looking for that type of support.
Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, they don't know what to do. They really don't. You're talking about 2 weeks. We're going past 2 weeks of bad performance coming out of the stock market. And you're seeing more articles on a recession. And I'm telling you, if you got this pandemic going on, a recession is going to absolutely devastate the planet on a global level. And they are talking about a recession that's going to be worse than anything seen before on this planet. And if things keep going like this, it's definitely coming. So the performance is bad. It's been very much a bear market over the last 2 weeks. And it just seems like the more the coronavirus spreads, the worse things are getting on the stock market. You know, but of course, you're going to always have the analysts acting like, oh, yeah, this will get better, and the coronavirus is not getting better. And then I read articles on the coronavirus now spreading in more locations in Africa. It's in South Africa. Now they're saying, with the warmer weather coming, it will just fizzle out. Well, right now, this time of the year in South Africa, it's in like the upper 70s and 80s. And they got, I believe, 7 cases now. Started with 2, now they got 7. It's not fizzing out there, it's still spreading. So we shall see as time moves on, but look at the temperatures in Africa and locations where, like South Africa, where they got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, all they can do is guess on what's going to happen. But I believe the coronavirus is here to stay. I don't believe they'll come up with a vaccine that's going to take this out because it's constantly mutating. So they would have to keep updating a flu vaccine, and I don't think they'll be able to keep up with this thing. Look how fast it's spreading. 34 states in the US. Shoot, by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, it's going to be way beyond that. And Trump, once again, still downplaying the whole thing. And this is a big problem. But now he's calling, the people from Wall Street to the White House. I don't know what that's going to do. Maybe he think he can reprimand people. I don't know. But, obviously ignoring the coronavirus is not helping the country at all. But, he is not a really compassionate kind of person, when it comes down to talking to the public. In fact, it's been quite cold. Every time a mic is up in his face, he's trying to deny this thing is even bad and trying his best to downplay it. And I guess he think, people are going to go along with them. And folks are just not feeling anything that he's saying. I don't care for people that do that. Like if there's a crisis going on and they're sitting there trying to downplay everything, to me, it makes it look like you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to act or do nothing. That's why you're taking that position. That's what it just seems like. I'm just saying. But y'all, please tell me what you think about what's going on in the stock market. It is looking really bleak. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.